On Reality Check, the latest shots fired in the ongoing war over whether India has a jobs problem or not is a report by the Confederation of Indian Industry or CII, which finds that job creation in India's small business or MSME sector has surged by 14% in the Modi years from 2014 to 18. Now, CII's findings go against the available evidence, almost all of which suggests that India's unemployment problem is getting worse, and that the small business sector in particular has been ailing. And so, not surprisingly, the CII report findings were tweeted, as you'll just we put it up on the screen for you, by a number of ministers as well as BJP team members, whether it was Piyush Goyal, whether it was Amit Malviya, who's the spokesperson of the BJP IT cell, or whether it was Rajvardhan Rathore, another minister, all of them saying that this report is a rebuttal to the critics of the Modi regime. In a short video tweeted from its official handle, CII described their main findings and also gave credit to the job surge to the initiatives taken by the government.
CII has just conducted the largest ever MSME job survey, and that covers more than 105,000, that's about more than a lakh MSMEs spread across 28 states. What the survey really indicates is that the net job creation for the past 4 years stood at about 13.9%, which works out to be approximately 3.3% per annum. Now, when you extrapolate that to the macro data on total workforce sourced from the Labour Bureau, the estimated net jobs that's been created works out to be something around 13.5 to 14.9 million per annum. These are really very strong, impressive figures. This particular survey also indicates that the recent government initiatives and interventions, such as the 2% interest rate subvention, will really drive future employment and the growth of the MSME sector.
But a closer look at this report raises a number of questions, both over the findings and the methods used to arrive at the number. The number one claim, of course, is that the MSME jobs growth has surged in the Modi years. But our reality check found that there's actually been no change in the job growth of MSMEs or small businesses under the Modi government. We'll tell you why. According to the CII report, MSME jobs were growing at 3.3% per year from 2014 to 18. But the government's own data shows that this sector was creating jobs at 3.6%, which is actually a little more from 2006 onwards to 2016. The CII also claimed that they created 1.3 to 1.5 crore jobs annually, the projection, based they have taken on the entire workforce of India of 45 crores. Now, the reality check to this obviously is that how can you project the growth of one sector, the MSME, on the entire economy, right? So, the jobs growth claim of the MSME, CII equates it with the jobs growth of the economy, but as we know, each sector grows at a different pace. For instance, the annual job growth in manufacturing is just 1%, and in construction, the annual job growth is 2.9% negative. So, it's actually negative. CII also claims that in 4 years, 3.3 lakh jobs were created by 1 lakh firms. That's the key finding of their survey. But that actually works out to job creation of less than 1 person per year in each firm. Is that a big revolution? And finally, the CII has essentially said in its survey that they polled job creating firms and that they also polled high growth states, states which are witnessing a high amount of MSME activity like Karnataka, like Gujarat, and so on and so forth. This is somewhat surprising. Is this a skewed sample? And does that in a sense call into question this job surge claim? Now, we tried to reach out to CII for a comment on some of these questions that came up. No spokesperson was available. All right, let's go to panel, and let me first begin by my conversation that I had earlier today with Mahesh Vyas of the Center for Monitoring of Indian Economy. Mr. Vyas, thank you very much indeed for joining us. If you can just tell tell us that, obviously certain questions coming up about this CII survey. Were you skeptical when you first came across it as well?
Well, I had to go through the report to see what it is saying, and the moment I read the first 2 pages, I immediately became very skeptical of the results. So I am, of course, very skeptical of the results, as so many jobs have been created in the MSME after facing these 2 shocks. The other problem with the report is its extrapolation. That is a major leap of faith, that if the MSMEs have grown by so much, then everybody else has grown similarly, including agriculture, industry, blah, 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 which is really a huge leap of faith. I don't think that's done. So I think this is clearly not done. This is a bad survey.
Right. Is it somewhat worrying that a reputed body like CII would slip up when it comes to data?
I agree with you. CII is a pretty well established and renowned organization, and I think it's important that its credibility is not damaged too much. If it takes efforts to paint a rosy picture, and that's what it looks like from here. So anyone who does a survey would very easily indicate that, there are many problems in this. If you're saying in the last 3 years so many jobs are getting created with a sample of only this year, then you have a survival bias in the sample. We are only taking those units which have survived 2 recent shocks, which is the demonetization shock and the GST shock. So there is a starting problem, and they themselves say that they have taken only job creating organizations. So this is definitely very clearly a skewed sample, and one cannot rely upon this as an indicator of jobs growth. So I think it's important for the CII to take care of its name, which has taken a long time for it to establish.
No, fair enough. What is your own data? What does the CMI's own data find about what's happening with jobs and small businesses?
See, we conduct our survey at the household levels, so we don't distinguish between large companies, small companies. The advantage of doing a household survey is that everybody lives in a household. So whether you're working in a small scale enterprise or a large enterprise, whether you're running an Uber car or you are frying pakoras on the streets, we cover everyone. And the result is so very clear, because month after month the same results come out, that the jobs have stagnated, and the ones who have suffered are actually the unorganized people. Okay. So it's surprising that the MSMEs have done well.
Right. Now, the sort of standard big picture response from the government to this, as you know, is one, of course, they claim that you're not actually surveying, the informal sector, but as you've just you've sort of clarified, you're polling pakoda walas as well. But their other argument is that they say that if the GDP is growing at close to 7%, how can India have a jobs problem? To that you would say what?
I think we should question the growth numbers. Where did the growth numbers come from? So the number of estimations and the number of agencies which supply data to make the GDP numbers is a lot more complex. It's a lot less direct, and it kind of retains some old ratios to generate growth numbers. Right. For example, in 2016, we say that the private final consumption expenditure growth was quite robust. How do we say that? Because agricultural production was good. But we know that agricultural production was good but was not delivered to the markets, because demonetization rendered most of them completely useless. That production did not translate into consumption expenditure, but the national accounts will show it as consumption expenditure. So there is a lot that is amiss in the GDP calculations, and I think in the interest of everyone, we should have a greater investigation into how precisely those GDP growth numbers are calculated. Right, I think there has been too much of debate on this, but there hasn't been much light on how those numbers are calculated. Right. The employment numbers are okay, the GDP numbers are a question mark.
Okay, I don't know if we'll ever get a clarity on that. But a last question to you, as we know, elections are on and jobs are very much going to be part of the political conversation for the next couple of months. Have you heard any solutions or any kind of credible response to India's jobs problem from the main political parties?
I don't see viable solutions, really speaking, because I don't think the establishment has understood the problem correctly. There is a battle on maintaining a certain narrative, creating a certain perception that nothing is seriously wrong on the jobs front because we are creating so many jobs. The emphasis is on we have created so many jobs through mudra loans, through a whole lot of other things. But the question is not about how many jobs are created. The question is how many people are employed. We may have created millions of jobs, but that could be less than the requirement.
Right.
So if we don't address the problem of an employment rate, merely talking about job creation is getting the question wrong. If you get the question wrong, you can't get the answer right. If you don't get the answer right, you can't get the diagnosis right.
Right.
So I don't think the political spectrum, the political establishment has understood the problem. The opposition seems to be getting it wrong by saying that we will give doles out. I think we should wait for the opposition to come out with a manifesto that explains how will they deal with the problem if they come to power.
Right, but at the moment there's nothing that we've heard from the opposition which seems to suggest that they have any answers either, yes?
That's right.
All right, Mahesh Vyas, direct as ever. Thanks very much indeed for talking to us. Okay, let's go to panel. Let me just go across first to Pooja Mehra, senior economic journalist who's here with us. So I guess all of us were somewhat skeptical when we came across the CII report, and then if you actually look at it, I mean, as we've pointed out, it has multiple anomalies, some of which are so basic that I'm surprised that a body like CII would have allowed it to creep in.
You're right. I don't know how CII has put its credibility at stake over here. I didn't expect, it's an industrial lobby, but I didn't expect them to do that. And I'm even more surprised nobody is here to take questions from us.
Yes. We've been trying all day, by the way.
You speak of anomalies. Let me point out one. The CII survey says that Tamil Nadu, the state, let's take one state of Tamil Nadu. Tamil Nadu is at position number 2 where they look at jobs created by exporting SMEs and micro units.
Right.
CII Tamil Nadu has created 9,218 jobs have been created in Tamil Nadu in the 4-year period that they have looked at.
Right.
Similarly, when they look at all jobs, exporting as well as non-exporting, Tamil Nadu comes at the 5th position, and Tamil Nadu in 4 years has created 18,210 jobs have been created in the state of Tamil Nadu by micro and small units. On the basis of this, they project that in the next 1 year, Tamil Nadu will create 44,566 jobs. Now, this is their survey, but for the state of Tamil Nadu, we actually have the actual numbers because the Tamil Nadu government has placed the numbers in the Tamil Nadu Assembly on 8th of June 2018.
Right.
And what does the Tamil Nadu state report say? The Tamil Nadu state report says that in the year 2017-18, which is the demonetization year, 50,000 micro, small and medium enterprises were wound up.
Right.
It also says, and this is a government policy note which was reported in the Hindu newspaper. It also says that the absolute number of registered MSMEs in the state went down from 2,67,310 to 2,17,981.
Okay.
So around 50,000 industrial units were wound up in one single year.
Okay, and this is just one instance.
Yeah,
okay,
and the number of workers employed in these units went down from 18,97,619 to 13,78,544.
Okay, so that's a drop of about 5 lakh
5
workers.
lakh workers.
Okay, I really like this kind of real-time fact-checking, by the way. But, Sunil Alag, as I was saying, that we all respect CII and we all wanted to believe whatever they come out with, we wanted to give it credibility, but this is not looking very good at the moment. As I said, just fundamental anomalies like trying to project job creation for the entire country on the basis of job creation percentages of the small scale sector? I mean, just one example of many, many loopholes.
Look, as far as I'm concerned, I'm not going to go into too many figures because you'll have it all. CII takes on a professional body to do its research. They have a fundamental basis on which you want to question them. Go ahead and question them. Mr. Vyas was even questioning the way the GDP is calculated. Now, this debate has been going on for many years, and therefore I'm not going to get into what is the way it's calculated, why is it calculated. Everyone picks a year which is following demonetization, and I've said it before.
Yeah.
Demonetization was not a great thing, so jobs went down. But after that, GST came along, and today GST is normal. So as far as I'm concerned, the growth has started coming again. Now you lose 1 year in 5 years, and you gain in 3 years, and you get the net effect. That's the way I look at it. So I get very skeptical when people say that no jobs have been created. Actually, maybe not as much as you would like to have created. That I agree with. But surely, I was talking to Mr. Gadkari, and he's given me something. He says some 82, he's allotted 276 projects on the Ganga alone. 8 out of that, 82 have already been completed. Are you trying to tell me no jobs were created? He has created some 4,000 kilometers of roads. No jobs were created again. Right. I don't know really who to believe anymore, because
Sunil,
at the end of it, just having statistics and statisticians to tell you whether jobs have been created or not. If jobs were zero, there would have been a revolution in India. All I'm trying to tell you is that jobs have been created, jobs are growing, may not be at the rate that BJP promised, but it's definitely growing. There's no question in my mind.
Okay, all right. Sunil Alak, just a second. Firstly, this is, what they call a straw man argument, where you...
one last thing, also the type of jobs.
Let me come in now.
If you take highly skilled jobs, they are coming down because of IT people are taking over all over the world.
Fair enough.
You are going to lose some jobs there. If you are not going to skill your labor to that effect, you're going to lose. And so therefore, that's it. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. So number one, Sunil Alak, nobody is saying that no jobs are being created. Who's saying that? We're not saying that. I haven't heard anyone who has credibly raised questions about job creation say no jobs are being created. What the available evidence is pointing to is that India's unemployment problem is getting worse.
-3% in this segment, it means no jobs. If you say only 1%, it comes down to no jobs. I mean, when I use the word no, I don't mean no and zero. But you're saying hardly any jobs have been created. And that's where I'm skeptical. That's all.
No, hold on. No one is saying no jobs are being created. No one is saying next to no jobs are being created. What the available evidence is suggesting is that India's unemployment problem is getting worse, joblessness is getting worse, and large numbers of people are falling out of the workforce for a myriad reasons.
But not according to CII.
So let's
debate that, no?
The problem is that you have
CII has come out with another survey. Somebody will come out with another survey.
The problem is that when you have an attempt to push back against this by coming out with surveys like CII's, which are flawed. It is statistically flawed. It's not about A versus B. It's not about, one person says it's raining, another person says it's not raining.
Your survey is flawed, so we'll go on to this debate now.
No, I'm just saying, I'm not saying it, I'm not making it up. I've just pointed out 5 reasons why, why there is a problem with this.
The lady only gave the figures on the demonetization year. What about the year before that? What is about the year now? So let's take all the figures into account. You also picking and choosing and saying this is the wrong year.
I'm not picking and choosing.
Was a bad year. Who's saying
I'm
that it was a
I'm
good
not
year?
picking and choosing anything. The CII surveys from 2014 to 2018, so it straddles both pre and post demonetization, but it is making certain assumptions which, as we just pointed out, are statistically not valid.
It does.
Okay. Now, Sunil Alak, let me just move on to Gaurav Vallabh. Now, Gaurav Vallabh, the fact is, I'm sure you're waiting to jump in. But the point is, Gaurav Vallabh, that as Mahesh Vyas himself was saying, when it comes to job creation, the Congress has not come up with any concrete suggestion either. You can attack the government all you want, but what's your solution to job creation?
See Srinivasan, the answer to job creation is only one answer economically, and Pooja and everybody, Sunilji will also agree that you have to get gross fixed capital formation in the economy, which is all time low. the gross fixed capital formation post Modi ji took the charge is reducing every year after year. And
Okay,
if CIA
how will you
is
increase
coming
it?
out with this type of survey, I am saying this
How will
is
you increase it?
anti-economics. Means
How
you
will
want
you-
to...
Fine,
that's a good point.
Let's assume that, let's assume for the sake of argument you're right.
Correct.
How will you change it? How will you turn it around? Quickly. Yes.
Correct. Correct. First point,
Yes.
that we have to make the GST user friendly, GST more comprehensive,
Yes.
and GST should have a very little number of the we can say the cumbersomeness of the GST should come down. First thing. Second thing, the export competitiveness one has to increase. The exports had reduced continuously in last
how?
4 years.
How will you do
can
it?
ask any economist, and I am talking about mercantilizing.
How will you do it?
That we had, see Srinivasan, I am asking, we had done in UPA 1 and 2, is that not the proof that we know how to do that?
I mean,
that's only possible,
I don't
not
think
by
India's jobs
Jumlanomics.
problem is
That
a
is possible
Modi
when...
creation. I don't think India's jobs problem is a Modi creation.
No.
Okay. All right, let me quickly
Srinivasan,
let me go back
why
to Pooja.
45-year low? I am just 5 seconds.
No,
Why
just a
there is a
second.
45-year highest unemployment rate? If it is not Modi creation, then why the same unemployment rate was not there in the past? And this is not
Okay, but
our
Pooja,
data.
frankly,
This is NSSO
I mean,
data.
whoever
This
comes
is
to power
CMI
is
data.
not going to find it
Both
easy
of them
to
are
turn
equally
things
respected
around.
organizations.
Right. Okay. All right, Gaurav. Yes.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. Whoever comes to power, the problem of the job crisis, resolving it is not going to be easy. What it needs is for India to think about getting agricultural startups in the farm sector, undertaking reforms where firms want to hire labor,
Yes.
resolving export issues, resolving competitiveness issues,
Yes.
improving further ease of doing business. These are serious reforms. These are not bringing out some World Bank reports where your ranking improves, and it does not translate into that big a change on the ground.
Right.
This is hardcore, serious policy work, hardcore, serious reforms,
Sure.
something like what was done in 1991. I don't see anybody willing to do it.
Sunil Alak, now, the fact is that, why all these data wars become important is that in order to fix a problem, you first need to acknowledge a problem. And the problem that we are having with this government is that they're not willing to even accept that there is a jobs problem in India. Every time you say jobs problem, they say that, oh, you're concocting data, you're, making stuff up, or they'll push back with their own numbers. Do you think that now as we head into election season, at least, that there will be some kind of acknowledgement of it, or is it too late now?
Look, I'm neither a member of the BJP nor the Congress, so I'm just representing industry at this point of time.
Of course.
All I'm saying is that, look, all over the world, even when Trump became president of the United States, there was a job problem, okay? So you bring in, he brought in all kinds of rules saying everybody has to manufacture there, the duties were raised. 1 second. So therefore, there is a issue right now on job creation is not easy.
Yes.
Only because the fact that today everybody wants to cut down because there's more productivity, there's further advancement. So new kind of jobs have to get created.
Right.
Now, if you're talking about our issue of labor will be used on roads only, on ports, on construction. They cannot be used anywhere. I'd like to ask everybody over here, if you have a problem of an electrician in your house, can you get a good electrician? You can't, because we're not training them to be that. They are all wanting desk jobs or road jobs. And therefore, this is a period or a phase that every country goes through. And one has to accept that. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying anything else other than that. But the policy which has to be followed, whether Congress comes or BJP comes, is how to skill people for the jobs of the future, which we are not doing at the moment. And
Okay, fair enough. I hope, I hope those in power are listening. Very quickly, we have to wrap. Pooja, yes.
I don't agree. There is an inevitability about, having to bear this job crisis because we are in a certain stage of development, etc. I think, like he says also, if there was proper skilling, if there was proper focus on education, if there was proper focus on ensuring that industry does not want to be capital intensive rather than labor intensive in a labor abundant country, in a labor abundant economy, things would not be as bad.
It could have been turned around, right? So I mean, basics like political will and just getting your governance right, but of course also to please acknowledge, number one, that there is a problem and not rely on data or on reports which are playing fast and loose with basic statistical rigor. That's key. Anyway, we'll have to leave it there. That's all the time we have. Thanks so much for watching Reality Check. Good night.